For over 3,000 years, ancient Egypt stood as one of the most powerful and enduring civilizations in human history. Its influence stretched from modern-day Syria in the north to Sudan in the south. But Egypt wasn't always an empire. To understand how it rose, we have to start along the banks of the Nile River. Ancient Egypt began as a collection of small, independent city-states that developed around the Nile. These regions were divided based on the river's flow: Upper Egypt in the south, upstream, and Lower Egypt in the north, downstream. Around 3100 BCE, a king, often identified as Nahma or Menes, unified these regions, laying the foundation for a civilization that would last more than 3 millennia. Egypt's history is typically divided into 3 golden ages of stability and achievement: the Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, and New Kingdom. Between each era were periods of decline and chaos, known as the First and Second Intermediate periods. At the center of Egyptian society stood the pharaoh, a ruler seen not just as a monarch, but as a divine intermediary between the gods and the people. The word pharaoh itself means great house, and while it was originally a reference to the royal palace, it eventually came to mean the ruler. Over 300 pharaohs ruled Egypt across its long history. Some were women, and not all were native Egyptians, but all were seen as protectors of order, law, and divine will. When a pharaoh died, the journey wasn't over. Egyptians believed in an afterlife, and preparing for it was a monumental task. Elaborate tombs were built, including the iconic pyramids at Giza and the rock-cut tombs in the Valley of the Kings. Bodies were mummified, wrapped in linen, and placed in tombs filled with food, gold, and even pets, everything they'd need in the next world. Beyond their monumental architecture, the Egyptians were also skilled innovators. In mathematics, they introduced measurement systems to help build their massive structures with precision. The cubit, a unit based on the length of a forearm, helped them design the pyramids with remarkable accuracy. They also divided the day into 24 hours and created a solar calendar with 365 days, an early precursor to our modern system. To harness the power of the Nile, they engineered canals, dams, and irrigation systems that allowed agriculture to flourish. Civil engineering wasn't just a tool of survival, it was central to Egypt's power. Egyptians were among the first civilizations to develop a written language. The most famous hieroglyphics used over 700 symbolic characters and was typically carved into stone for religious or ceremonial use. But for everyday purposes, they developed hieratic, a more practical cursive script written in ink. Both systems were often written on papyrus, an early form of paper made from the Nile's native plant. This writing allowed for detailed record-keeping, literature, and communication, helping Egyptian administration and culture thrive for centuries. No empire lasts forever. Egypt's power began to wane after repeated invasions. The Persians took control in the 4th century BCE, followed by Alexander the Great, and finally the Romans in 30 BCE, marking the end of native Egyptian rule. Still, few civilizations have left a legacy as enduring as Egypt's. Their contributions in religion, politics, mathematics, engineering, and writing continue to inspire and influence the modern world. The pyramids, the calendar, the myths of gods and pharaohs, all of it reminds us of a time when Egypt stood as a beacon of human achievement.